gotten an identity. They're the run the ball, stop the run team. You know, Stephen A., you could talk about how effective they are against the run, although they're pretty good. They're not amazing, right? But they have an identity. That's who they are. Who are the Steelers? You know, the Steelers, they can play defense, but can they run the ball? Not even a little bit. They can't block for the run at all. They can't run block. And Ben Roethlisberger, I hear people say, I still think he can throw the ball down the field. He just doesn't. Why? Because the line's not giving him enough time for the receivers to get downfield? I don't know. When I've seen him take shots downfield, I don't really like what I see. He gets rid of that ball quick on those short little passes. But when the defense is playing up, like if you can't run the ball anyway, right? And that's bad for the run. So I do think the Browns, who have real talent on both sides of the ball and an ascending quarterback, have a good chance to win. But more than that, Stephen A., that would really be an upset. It would be an upset because it would upset the culture. Huh?
No, I said the only reason why – I'm sorry, I thought you was finished. My apologies. That's all. Go ahead. Go ahead and finish.
No, sorry. I'll just say it would upset the culture of the sport, certainly of the AFC North. But the fact that little brother – that would come up in the world like that the Steelers look at that division, don't just have to worry about the Ravens, but the Browns, too, would be an enormous psychological upset in the world of football. And I think that's the most likely one.
First of all, you need to educate yourself on rivalries because the Cleveland Browns are no little brother of the Pittsburgh Steelers. As a matter of fact, they ain't even family, okay? They ain't members of the family, right? Who the hell are the Cleveland Browns, all right? You know what I'm saying? They're enemies, all right? That's what they're enemies, and the Steelers usually stomp on them, right? They ain't family. So let's get that out the way right now. That's number one. Number two, even though I'll give you this, if there's any validity to your argument, it's the fact that it would be an upset in my eyes if the Browns beat the Steelers. I don't think that Tennessee should be labeled an upset if they beat Baltimore. But that's who I'm going with here in terms of picking which team I think is going to win, since people are talking about Lamar Jackson and J.K. Dobbins and the Baltimore Ravens with Harbaugh and all of these boys. I'm thinking about Tennessee. I will remind you, Tennessee already beat the Baltimore Ravens this year. It was an overtime game. Derrick Henry scampers for a 29-yard touchdown run. In overtime, they win that game. He finished the game with 28 carries for 133 yards. But forget all of that, Max. You remember what happened in last year's divisional playoff game in Baltimore when Tennessee showed up there? A guy by the name of Derrick Henry showed up then, too. He ran the ball 30 times that day for 195 yards. I'm talking about right. Baltimore ain't sleeping this week. They ain't sleeping this week. They nervous as hell. They worried because you got that brother to be worried about here. And Ryan Tannehill has played some decent ball. Corey Davis, obviously, last time he showed up against Baltimore, he had over 100 yards receiving. Okay, you still got A.J. Brown, who can ball. Now, Tennessee gives a lot defensively, but in the same breath, they don't always break. They've got a couple of big victories this year, including the one against Baltimore that I mentioned, a split with Indy as well. But the bottom line is this. When you look at Lamar Jackson, he threw for 100 and change against them in the regular season. Last year in the playoffs, he wasn't that impressive throwing the football, which we've both lamented. The reality is that if you are the Baltimore Ravens, at some point you're going to need Lamar Jackson to use that arm to win a playoff game. I think Tennessee should be the favorite in this game. I think they'd be ready. Obviously, Baltimore could win this game, but I'm not picking them to do it because they don't have Derrick Henry. Tennessee does, and that's what I'm rolling with. That's my belief.
Well, I mean, what I respect about that is the Baltimore run defense, which has gotten better as the season's gone on. It's not what it was last year, and as you mentioned, Derrick Henry did his thing last year, and so you expect more of the same this year. But on the flip side of that, Lamar Jackson in his first playoff game was god-awful in the first half. And in the second half was much better than he was in the first half. And then if you look at his playoff game last year, he was much better than he was in his first year. How much better does he need to be to beat the Titans? Like, that's what's on the line. Lamar Jackson, there's a ton of pressure on him in this game, but I think he can do it. When I look at the the underdog in that case doesn't win, and I agree with you. I don't even know that the Titans should be. Certainly not. I think they're underdogs. The Ravens are favored by more than a field goal. I think it's a 3.5-point favorites. So I agree with that. It's more like a pick 'em type game. But I really would view the Browns beating the Steelers as an upset in a larger way than just the odds. It would upset the way we think about the NFL, at least in terms of that division. The mighty Pittsburgh Steelers, who go 8-8 without Roethlisberger last year, who were undefeated for so much of this season, versus the Browns, who were in utter disarray in recent years. For the Browns to win that game would be a monumental upset, even if you look at the odds and you go, well, maybe even the Browns should. That's a close game. But in a larger sense, it's a huge upset.
Yeah, Max. All I'm going to say to you is this. Last year in the playoffs, Ryan Tannehill threw for 88 yards. Lamar Jackson threw for 365 yards and ran for 143 yards and still lost. 365 yards passing, 143 yards rushing. That's over 500 yards of offense by himself.
Unreal.
And they still lost.
Unreal.
To this team.
Kids, the truth. By the way, according to our FBI, they do have the Titans of the underdog that's most likely to win out of the AFC. Guys, we'll leave it there. When we come back here on First Take, I got a few more things to ask you about, if that's cool with you. Oh, we got
action to talk about today. Lots of NFL topics. But number one on my list would be Joe Judge. Did you hear what the Giants coach had to say about Doug Peterson and the Philadelphia Eagles? Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Play it for him, please.
To me, you don't ever want to disrespect those players and their effort and disrespect the game. The sacrifices that they made to come into work every day and test before coming in, to sit in meetings spaced out, to wear masks, to have shields over those masks, to go through extensive protocols, to travel in unconventional ways, to get text messages at 6:30 in the morning telling them practice is going to be canceled. We have to do a virtual day. Okay, to tell them, please don't have your family over for Thanksgiving. Please avoid Christmas gatherings. We know it's your wife's birthday. Let's make sure we put that one off to the off season. There's a number of sacrifices been made by all the players and coaches in this league. There's a number of sacrifices that come along as well with the family members of the people connected to them. To disrespect the effort that everyone put forward to make this season a success for the National Football League, to disrespect the game by going out there and not competing for 60 minutes and doing everything you can to help those players win, we will never do that as long as I'm the head coach of the New York Giants.
All I got to say, fellas, is I've been a Giants fan since I was a baby, watching them religiously. I never thought I could love someone as much as Bill Parcells or Tom Coughlin, but this Joe Judge guy looking like the real deal. Stephen A. Smith, Marcus Spears, Happy New Year. I haven't seen you since. Max Kellerman, good to see you all. Everybody looking dapper. Are we ready to do this?
Molly, I'm sorry to interrupt. First of all, Happy New Year again. It's really, really good to see my man Swagoo. I just want to know, Max, what the hell is he doing with those Space Cadet glasses on right there? I mean, don't they look like, I don't know, don't those glasses look like something straight out of the Jetsons from years ago? I'm just wondering. I'm just asking. Those are Space Cadet glasses. What's going on?
I wish I could see y'all.
Virtual reality goggles on.
I wish I could see y'all.